Hello, this is Josh with Techtopia TV, and this is Project Crimson. So, at the beginning of the year, I had worked some overtime to help out the IT group at my work, and I had planned to use all that extra money to build a new computer rig. Before I had a Core i5 4670K with DDR3, 8 gigs of DDR3. I had the Kingston HyperX 120 gig SSD, the Samsung 840 EVO 120 gig SSD, and a Western Digital 1 terabyte hard drive. On top of that, I had a Gigabyte X87, I think it was X87 UD3H board. I had a GTX 680, and then I upgraded it to a GTX 780. So it had a few upgrades, mainly with the video card throughout the year. And other than that, I mean, it was a good machine. I didn't have any problem with it. It was very great for gaming. I didn't have any problems with the gaming at all. I tried to do a little bit of live streaming with the computer, and I didn't have much of a problem with it really, but at the same time I wanted a little bit better quality and to be able to stream without using like 100% of my CPU while streaming and gaming at the same time. So I really wanted something that was a little stronger. So what I decided to do was after I worked the overtime, I decided to build this rig here, which I called Project Crimson just because of the red theme that I originally wasn't going to go with. I was going to go with a black and white theme at the beginning because I really like the whole black and white color scheme, but I decided to go with black and red mainly because the change in the motherboard. After looking up several different options, I had decided to settle with another Gigabyte X99 board, but I wasn't 100% sure that that's really what the route that I wanted to go, but it was within my price range. But then about 2 days before I was going to buy the motherboard, Jay's 2 Cents did a video on the ASRock X99 Killer Fatality board. And he liked it. He said that he loved all the features that you got with it, and it wasn't very much more than the Gigabyte board that I was going to buy. So I decided, yeah, why not? You know, it seemed like it was a great board. He liked it and he recommended it. So I figured if he recommended it, then it's got to be pretty decent, right? So I decided to go with that board instead, which has, as you can see, it has the black and red theme. So, you know, I might as well just go with the black and red, considering that I was already planning on going with the H440 case after watching some reviews of it. And I like the way that it's set up. And I decided at the last minute that I was also going to go water cooled, which that wasn't in the plan as well at the very, very beginning. So yeah, I decided to go that route. It all worked out pretty well. I got the whole black and red theme going. I was going to go with some MSI Gaming 970s, but I don't remember the exact reason. I think it was some people were having issues with the coil whine in the MSI Gaming ones, so I decided to steer away from those. But that didn't help because I ended up running into a bunch of coil whine with the EVGA versions that I got as well. So I ended up going through 6 of them with EVGA, sending them back for advanced RMA and all that kind of stuff. And finally, they upgraded me to the For the Win Plus editions. With the metal backplating on it, which helped a lot. I mean, they still have a whine, but I guess the metal backplate, because here you can see my sound card is in between the 2 cards. So the sound card was picking up all of the noise and interference from the coil whine, and that was the problem I was having because I run Sennheisers, and I need that extra amplifier that comes from the sound card. And I use my headphones through there and my headset through there. My mic is through there, and the interference was being picked up by my microphone, and it was being played out through the microphone and my headset to all of my buddies when we were playing games online. And that was the main problem I had. I didn't really care too much about the coil whine per se. But if it's resonating through my microphone and my teammates can hear it the entire time that I'm playing, that's a problem for me. And anything over like 90 to 100 frames per second, it would start squealing like a stuck pig. And that was the problem that I was having, because my main gaming monitor is a 144 hertz monitor, and I push every bit of those frames. And so basically, no matter what game I play on, they would squeal, which then would play through my mic, and my teammates would hear it, and it caused a lot of problems. So I had to keep on sending them back until I finally got some. These ended up working out well, so I haven't had any problem with it, and they're pretty beastly cards too, I will say that. So I decided to go with SLI 970s, mainly because you can get two of those for just a little bit more than one 980, and they absolutely crush a 980. As far as frames per second at 1080p, which is what I play at, because I don't really care about 1440p or 4K right now. Nothing can really run them very well. I'm more of an FPS whore anyway, so I prefer the frames per second over resolution right now. At 1080p, it still looks phenomenal to me. And the 144 hertz, after I've been gaming on that for the past couple months now, I couldn't see myself going back to anything else at the moment. I did decide to go with the Corsair H110i GT cooler. That was like a last minute thing, just because I found out that I was actually going to have a little bit more money in my budget to play with. So I decided that I would go that route. It's been working out really well. It keeps the CPU really cool. I did have a problem with the fans. The bearing in it, when I first put them in, kind of had like a little bit of a grinding noise to them. They were kind of rattling a little bit, but it didn't seem to affect the fan at all. The fan wasn't wobbling. It wasn't not spinning up to speed properly. They do get a little bit louder as they ramp up, if I'm like encoding a video or whatever. But for the most part, they're still okay. But in the last week or two, they've gotten worse. So I contacted Corsair about it, and of course they were really cool as always, and decided that they were going to go ahead and send me 2 new fans, which I believe they're in the mail now. I think they were having a little bit of issue with their stock or something. I'm not 100% sure about that, but they're finally in the mail, and they should be here within a week, I would guess. And I can swap those out, and I will be 100% satisfied with my computer at that point. Like I said, I decided to go with the ASRock X99 Killer Fatality board. The features of this board are absolutely insane. It does have its own Fatality mouse port, which I guess is supposed to cut down on the latency and input lag and all that kind of stuff. It does also have its own killer E2200 Ethernet port that's supposed to, prioritize the packets for the gaming, so that way the gaming packets are sent out, I guess, ahead of or on top of, and as a priority over any other packets that the computer may be sending, so that way you're supposed to get a less lag or ping, which I haven't really messed with that because that one seems a little gimmicky to me, but I don't know. I might have to try it out just to see if there is a difference. Back behind here, there is a Seasonic 750 watt power supply. Back when I bought it about a year or two ago, it was like the cleanest power supply on the planet. At that point, well, within the price range that I wanted to spend anyway. It's very clean power, it's very efficient, and it runs this setup with no problem. The sound card that I have is a Sound Blaster SBZ. It does have the little hand control knob, which I don't use because, like I said, I like to get the full amplification out of the headset, and I guess that amplification doesn't go through to the actual power module or the power and volume module. So I just kind of left that in the box and tossed it aside. But I ended up getting the one with it because I know you can buy it without that volume knob for cheaper, but the one with the actual module was cheaper than the one without whenever I bought it. So that's the reason why I went with it, in case anybody's asking. So other than that, I think that's really about it. Like I said, I do have the Samsung 840 EVO. 120 gigabyte SSD. I use that for the some gaming that I do on certain games that I want to load faster. I use the 1 terabyte Western Digital hard drive for other games that I play that I don't really feel like need to be sped up at all, and also of course for my video editing. The RAM that I decided to go with was G.Skill Ripjaws. I decided to go with 16 gigs, whereas my old computer had 8. I decided to go with 16 gigs of DDR4 for now. It was a good price, and I was reading that the different speeds on DDR4 doesn't make that much of a difference at the moment. I guess just because it's all new technology, and they're supposedly going to get a little bit better with it. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I went with the 2400 megahertz. So all in all, I mean, they're great. I haven't had a problem with them or anything, but they're all black. I probably would have went red, but I ordered the black. I ordered the RAM before I bought the motherboard because I already knew. I bought it all in pieces. Each paycheck I would get, okay, I have this much money to play with from the overtime money, boom, 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 order some parts, have it sent in, and build a machine. So I believe the case and the water cooler were both last minute thoughts. I was going to use my old case, which I believe is an Antec 900. I was going to use Antec 600, I believe it is. I was going to use that case again, but decided not to. And I had an old Phanteks, I believe it's a DH12X. I think it's a DH12X. I decided to go with that air cooler with my old system, but it would work on the 2011-3 socket, but I just really like the look of the all-in-one coolers. It's a lot cleaner than having this huge block with fans on it sticking out. And I think the Phanteks did a little bit better than the H100i, and it's about on par with the H110i. So I didn't really gain any kind of cooling at all by going to the all-in-one from my old Phanteks cooler. What I did gain is the cleanliness. I mean, I absolutely love the look of it. I love the nice covered hoses on it and the lines on it or whatever, just make it look really good. Of course, the logo, it's RGB, so you can, change the color of that, which obviously I have it set to red. I did do a video of like an overview of the H440 and the H110i GT on my channel as well, if you want to check those out. But all in all, I think that's really about it. I don't see myself really upgrading anything in the near future. I think one thing that I definitely need to do is I think I need to get another standard 1 terabyte hard drive, or maybe larger, to store the video files on, because those are eating up quite a bit of space. But other than that, I think that's really about it. Oh man, I'm such a moron. I didn't even mention that the CPU that I decided to go with was a 5820K. 6-core, 12-thread. It's great for the video editing that I've done. I actually did some rendering for a video with my old i5 4670K and re-rendered the same exact video with the 5820K just to test the speeds out, and it cut it in half as far as how long it took to render everything. So it definitely helped with the video editing, which is what I wanted. Whenever I went to game streaming, a couple of my buddies were playing some games the other night, and I decided that I was going to live stream the footage while we were playing. And the 4670K, I would have it set at the preset in OBS for as far as the streaming quality and everything. I would have the CPU rendering or encoding set at very fast, which means that it's going to just plug through it really fast, encode the video, send it out and compress it and all that stuff or whatever, but it's going to do it really quickly, so the quality isn't as good. Well, and it would still, on certain games, be maxing my CPU out, like 95, 96% CPU usage with the game and the streaming going on at once. Well, we were playing some H1Z1, which isn't a really, it doesn't take a lot of resources really to run that game, but I did have the stream going. I believe I had it set to 720p at 60 frames per second, and I was playing at 1080p. And I believe I had the game maxed out. I was getting around 80 to 90 frames per second, I believe it was. And I had the preset in OBS set to medium, which I believe it goes very fast, faster, fast than medium. And medium uses a ton of the CPU to spend more time encoding and more power encoding and compressing before it sends it out. So you get much better video quality, but you take a hit on the CPU. I mean, the CPU is really working hard. Well, with it at medium, playing the game, H1Z1, it was streaming no problem, same settings, everything was great, and it was only using, like, I believe it was 68%. 68% of the CPU on medium. So the 5820K is definitely a beast, and I'm happy with it. I didn't see the need to go to the 5930K, just because the main thing that I saw the benefit of it is if you wanted to go maybe try SLI, because it has more lanes, and you can get more bang for your buck there if you're going to do Tri SLI, which I have no need to do that. And of course the 5960X, that thing is just that CPU is a beast. But it was a little out of my budget, and I just couldn't see spending the kind of money on that and not really gain a whole lot. I mean, obviously it's more powerful than the 5820K. I mean, it would have to be, but it just wasn't enough difference for me and for what I do to justify the price. So that's the reason why I went with the 5820K. So all in all, Project Crimson has the 5820K. It has the ASRock X99 Killer Fatality motherboard, G.Skill Ripjaws 16 gigabyte 2400 megahertz RAM. Then I have SLI EVGA GTX 970 for the Win Plus editions, and it has the Creative Studio Sound Blaster. Man, I'm trying to remember this Sound Blaster SBZ sound card in it, and it has the Samsung 840 EVO 120 gigabyte hard drive, which I use for games and other random things. Actually, it's mostly just a game drive. I literally named it Game Drive. The HyperX Kingston is the one that I use for my OS, because after doing some tests, I actually found that my old HyperX Kingston actually transferred faster on read and write than the 840 EVO did, which is really odd because I bought the EVO because it was supposed to be faster. But for some reason in the real world scenario with my computer, the HyperX runs faster. So I use that one for my OS drive and my programs like Adobe Premiere, my audio editing and all that kind of stuff. All the typical software that I use throughout the day, and the OS is on the Kingston. And then the Western Digital 1 terabyte Blue 7200 RPM is what I have for everything else. And and not to forget the Corsair H110i GT for the cooler. And the Seasonic 750 power supply, which I can't remember the exact model number of it because it's been so long since I bought it and I've actually looked at it that I kind of forgot what that one is. But so anyhow, I will probably put a link to links to the pages for all of these, maybe from Newegg or Amazon. I bought all of it from Newegg just because of the prices that they had going on at the time and some of the bundles that I was able to get. But other than that, I think that really sums it up. I'm going to have a nice little roll of some images that I took of the system that's going to come up afterwards. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe and follow my channel. I'm going to try to do a little bit more stuff here in the future. I have a video actually talking about what the plans are for the future of this channel, if you would like to check that out. So once again, this has been Josh with Techtopia TV, and thanks for watching.